Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome, 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 everyone. I am super stoked, excited to be here today. And first off, my name is Sholakbi Azazi. And welcome. I welcome you guys to this platform. It's to share journey of mothers like myself, or not just mothers, anyways, but parents like myself who are raising neurodivergent children, just to share our stories and to encourage someone out there. So I hope whoever finds this story finds help. You find it useful. If you're on this journey, I want you to know that you're not alone on this journey, and you can lean on mothers and other people like myself for support. And if you're new to this journey, or you've never even heard about autism before, or neurodivergence, or whatever, and you just want to find out more about what this is all about, welcome to this platform. So today I'll be joined by the lovely Anu, who is going to be sharing our own story. So let's see where Anu is and get her to join us. Invite, waiting for her to join, and we'll take it from there. Hello, everyone. I see everyone waving at me. I'm waving back. Hi,
Hi.
Mama. Yay.
Hi, Sholakwe. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
How are
Funny
you?
story. I have never met Anu before. We are Instagram friends. She says that husband says that we've met each other before. I cannot remember meeting her husband, but he did say to me that we met some time ago when we were in the university, and this whole story about autism and all of that made our paths join, and it's been a wonderful. I'm telling you, I'm talking to her and I'm like, oh wow, we share so many similarities. She's talking about this and I'm like, okay, are you sure you're not like my imaginary twin that
let me bust your head. Sholakwe, let me bust your head. My cousin's wife, my cousin-in-law is actually your family friend.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you're seeing how, so like every time I'm talking to you, I'm like, okay. Okay. And this is what I want to share. Like when you're raising supports and all of that, you should look at autism beyond borders. You should look at support, raising a global family, global support. It does not even necessarily have to be your support system should not be limited to your brother, your sister, your uncle. Your support system it can go beyond the borders. It can go from we're now a global village. So you have to utilize the advantages that has to offer.
Exactly.
Without yanning too much, like I always do, I'm going to let Anu introduce herself and jump right into it. So
I think I am more than you, Sholakwe, by the way. I mean, I think you will see it on this live. But okay, first of all, thank you, Sholakwe. Thank you for this platform. Thank you for being such an advocate for these really special children and for the parents on this really special journey. Thank you for inviting me to be here. Trust me, this is something that a big part of my support system has been encouraging me to do for a long time, but I think I just wasn't there yet. And that's part of the story. It's a journey, it's a process, and you have to get there on your own. Depending on what your situation is, you have to get there. So thank you. Hopefully I'm there now and I don't break down and start crying on this live.
I always tell you can cry. It's what you do after crying.
Exactly.
Literally today I was talking to one of my friends and we were sharing some things, and just something just popped up. I wouldn't kid you. I was driving back because I just dropped off the kids, and I was crying. And I was driving.
Yes, I get it.
Crying. And then when I finished, because we shared like intimate stuff, and then afterwards, you know what? The truth is, you would always be through when you think you've you crossed one curveball and you're ready and you're settled. Something else comes right out of nowhere, and then you're like, oh wow, what is this? And it makes you just that you just break down. But when you finish with that, you have to walk yourself back to that space, that that space that that healthy space. Like Ifeko talked about last week. She talked about you know, sometimes when you start to see your cup half empty, you know, it's all about changing the perspective. You have to change it and look at it from another angle, because you should be able to see it half full, and that's what optimism, whatever. Don't let me find my song.
Optimism, matabo. Okay.
Yeah, so talk about yourself, introduce yourself, let's hear you, let's meet you.
Before I say anything, let me just put disclaimer.
What?
Everything I'm going to say here is from my lived experience.
Absolutely.
I'm not an authority. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a PhD. I'm just a mom who's doing her best for her neurodivergent kid.
And that is what this platform is
And
about.
I have done that to the best of my abilities for the past 4 years plus. So if you're there and you're also looking at me and saying, oh my God, she also has a son on the spectrum and she's wearing pink sweater with bow streets. I didn't get here in one day. And I am still on this journey, and you will get there. You will get there. If you're looking at this and wondering, when will I be able to? A year ago, I didn't think I could do this. I couldn't do this, but here I am. So this is to encourage you to listen, and hopefully I can say something that would change your life. My name is Anu Soloye Babalola. I am wife to an amazing husband and mom to 2 kiddos. 2 amazing kiddos, actually. My son is 6 and my daughter is 3. My son was diagnosed with autism at about 2.5. And that's where the journey began. But before I start on that, from the diagnosis, I like to talk about early signs. You know, you could even be a mom watching, whenever you're watching this and you don't have a diagnosis, but you're seeing your child is a bit different. It would be important for you to pick it up and start early, right? One of the early signs, I think a lot of people say this, toe walking. I remember I was a primary caregiver. My husband works at 9 to 5. I'm a stay-at-home mom at the moment. I've been a stay-at-home mom. Wasn't the plan, but I am. And I remember, you know, he developed perfectly till he was about 13 months. And I started to notice that he was plateauing. I won't say regressing yet. He was ahead of the milestones. But then around the 13-month mark, 13, 14 months, he started to slow down. And then after a while, I started to feel like maybe one day a week, it almost felt like I didn't have a son. Like I couldn't connect to him. He was in his own world. I could call him in different pitches. I would call his name and he wouldn't answer, you know, until I lift him up and then like talk to him, and then, you know, so that was there. He was zoning out a lot more. He was toe walking. He was flapping. He was, you know, but at the same time, we were still doing peekaboo and we're still engaging. So one side of me was thinking, okay, I know it's all in your head, because anybody who knows me knows that I overthink things. So I thought it was. And I remember raising it with my husband, and I was like, Boo Boo, have you noticed that? You know, and Boy was like, you've come again. No. He's like, your problems are not enough. You don't have enough problems. That's why you're looking for problems. This boy is fine, you know, because him and his dad had a routine. Every time he heard the key jingle at the door, he would run to the door, and they had their routine, and it was so cute. And that kept on going. Do you get? So that didn't change. So my husband was like, what's she on about, you know? And shortly after that, he started kindergarten. And I think it was around this time that my husband also like came on board and started thinking, okay, maybe something is off, because like a month after he started kindergarten, he was about 16, 17 months, they called us and said they wanted to see us. And they said, oh, that, you know, he's an amazing kid. He's actually one of their easiest babies. If you put him somewhere, he's there and doing the same thing over and over again throughout the day. But he treats them like trees. I remember that was very weird to hear. I was like, trees? They're like, yeah, that because they're there, but he doesn't connect. Like he looks through them. He doesn't connect to them. He doesn't, you know, and also they thought he was deaf until something happened in kindergarten and they realized he wasn't, because he wasn't responding to his name. And I think that meeting was what really got my husband to realize, okay, something is off here. And so we started on this journey. I went online. I did some MCHAT-R test. It's not a foolproof thing. I don't know if have you heard of it?
Yes, MCHAT, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I did it online, and it came out saying that he had red flags of moderate autism. And I remember it was like 2 a.m. in the midnight. And being the drama queen that I am, I burst into tears. And my husband woke up like, babe, what's going on? Are you okay? I'm like, he has autism. He has autism. And Bai was like, what are you talking about? Like, no, he's fine, babe. This is at 2 a.m. I'm like, something is off. You get? And I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. And I remember I spoke to my mom about it because my mom has a Montessori kindergarten in Nigeria. And she knows about kids and any development. And she's like, I know, do you overthink these things? Oh yeah, if you think so, there's nothing wrong with my boy. If you think so, share, like send him on errands. Start sending him on errands. Then turn off the lights. Take your place. Like so, I actually started sending him on errands. You know, so that he can. That really helped. You know, and I remember I called my baby sister that night, and in that same 2 a.m. and I was weeping, you know, like something is off here. Anyway, so fast forward to when I started around his second birthday. So around his second birthday, I took him to the pediatrician, and I was like, something is off with this boy. He's not talking. Where we are, they speak German. We didn't plan to be here for long enough to learn the language, even though I did. So we put my son in an English Montessori kindergarten. So when I went to the pediatrician, he said, oh, he's in a multilingual, a bilingual environment. So no big deal. You know, it's because, you know, most children that have 2 languages don't speak on time. And at this point, I have to say, Mama, trust your instinct. Trust your gut. Nobody knows your child more than you. If you're the dad and the primary caregiver, trust your gut. So the pediatrician said this to me, and I was like, this is bollocks. I know other children that, I mean, he has classmates that are even in 3, that are growing up with 3 languages. There was a boy in his class who was growing up with Arabic, Spanish, German, and English, and he was talking. So I'm like, Oga, what you're saying is not really going down well with me. Anyway, I just twisted him, and he gave me like a sheet of, we call it Ubervising here, to get speech therapy for him. So he started speech therapy before his second birthday, and before we even got a diagnosis. So we started, so that continued, that around January. So this was November, yeah. We started the evaluation process, and they told us that there are red flags. So mind you, can I say here they don't, where I am, they don't really give diagnosis to like 4 or 5.
Okay.
In Europe, it's a thing. And so I also want to say here, if you're a mama in Nigeria and you're feeling like, oh, there's something much better for you outside of Nigeria, that's not always the case. In fact, there are some therapies that my son has gone through that I learned from my Nigerian connect, that they're giving them in Nigeria as part of curriculum. So just trust, we'll get to that, but trust where you are.
I was going to tell you baby steps.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
A story about the pre-diagnosis and
exactly.
How
exactly. So in the middle of this, it was so tough for me. I was alone. I'm a huge family person, but I'm in this country. I'm alone. It's winter. It's cold. I'm hearing that my son is not thriving. I had started working with one of my friends in fashion, and I had to kind of slow down on that because I needed to.
On that with you now, and just, you know, because I know that one of the biggest challenges when you know finally come to terms with something is, and it's one of the biggest challenges that you hear talk about is the loneliness that they find on the journey. So I want you to
we'll get to that. No, I have a whole like I have a whole page like with because I don't want to forget anything, because I tend to go off on a tangent when I'm talking. So yeah. Anyway, so then I found out I was pregnant in the middle of all of this. I found out I was pregnant. That was one of the lowest points of my life, because I was just about to be 30. I mean, I was already planning 30 with my girlfriend. It was a really sad time, you know. And I remember my 30th birthday being so mellow, but my husband had reached out to my best friend, and your friend needs to pick me up right now. She's not, and that's why your partner is important, but I'll get to that. Anyway, I read a book. This book I'm going to recommend to moms that have just gotten a diagnosis and you may be on like some wait list, or you're trying to figure out what to do with your kiddo at home. The name of the book is More Than Hope by Dr. Tanya Paparella. I'll write it and you can pin it. Yeah. Should I write it now?
Yeah, no, just continue talking.
Later, okay, exactly. The resources I think would
I would put the show link in the comments when we post it up, so that
okay, exactly. That book I read it I think December 2018, and the book was so helpful, you know, and that actually was what helped my son start to mend, like, because the book was walking parents through how to teach your child while you wait for professional help. What can you do yourself, you know? And that book helped my son how to say I want, you know, how to say I want, and to actually be able to label things. Do you understand? So that book was really helpful. And as extra as I am, I contacted the author, and we went to see her in Los Angeles, because yes, because for me here, I was like, I want people if I buy me, Jay. They are not giving my son a diagnosis, and without a diagnosis, you can't get help.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, what am I supposed to be waiting for? I told my husband, I said, my husband, but baby, you're pregnant. I said, even though, do you understand what I'm saying? Let's go. So, and she was even shocked. She was like, how did you find me? I was like, you don't worry, can I come and see you? And we went to see her. And that was very helpful in two ways. It was like she gave us the key to start the car of the journey.
Yeah.
She equipped me with, I mean, it wasn't 100%, but it was, I would say 80%.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she equipped us. She let us know, okay, these are the things. This is what you know, there was a lot she gave us some structure, because before that, we were running around like headless chickens, my husband and I, and it started to affect our relationship. I'll come to that. Anyway, so we started this, we went to LA, came back, and while we're in LA, she also said something that was very important that I'll touch on. How it is important not to neglect the other child. She runs like an ABA center, and one of their star kids who just graduated college at 22, at his graduation, he was the valedictorian, or I don't know what they call it, like he was the one giving the speech. And he said that, I wish I didn't have autism. I wish my sister did, because now she doesn't love me. The sister wasn't at the graduation because she felt like the parents only cared about the boy. Over the years, she had felt less than.
Absolutely.
And that had affected her relationship with the boy, affected her relationship with the family. So that was another.
This that you are talking about, I have another big sister online right now, and that's what she's doing right now with some of her live episodes. Her name is Isiafa Unkolo.
Please, let's put us in touch. Yeah, let's talk.
Because what she's doing is that she's having siblings come and talk about their experiences.
Important.
You know, to a child with special needs. How has that shaped their thinking?
Very, very important.
How has, you know, so I'm just saying it out there. I think somebody is out there and trying to think about how to navigate that.
Yep. That's beautiful.
Reach out to her, and then she can help you, you know, bridge the gap. So
yeah. So we talked about early signs. Okay. And I talked about location. I said that already. You don't romanticize abroad. I know people that have left Canada to go back to Lagos, and left the UK to go back to Lagos for this autism thing. So I'm not saying one place is better than the other, but focus on your own journey and find what can help you within that space.
I think why most people try to why I would also agree with the idea of, you know, for me in Nigeria, I have found a whole lot more support, and the reason is because in Nigeria we still believe in raising our kids in a community setting.
Village.
But there's a lot of solitude. You are, you know,
I'll give you examples.
Increases those isolation feeling.
Yeah, God bless you.
The mental state of mind, because
even
processing so many things at the same time.
Exactly.
But in Nigeria, you would still hear, you know, your mother or your sister will say,
yes.
You know, we still go for our
this
bed.
Thing. Hold on, yes. Sholakwe, this thing you're saying. This thing you're saying, it's not a joke. Like, even with the style of raising the children, I would sometimes go and pick my son, and they're telling me, oh, he refused to do this. He refused to do this. But you are the grown up. You get him to challenge himself. Hey, he did it. Oh, he didn't what? Really hear me as a Nigerian mom. I'm just like, no, come on. Like even the child. I realized recently, and I was sharing with my husband that this boy knows he's black. Because I didn't raise him with TV, he struggled with watching TV and sitting down and watching. You know, that's a different conversation we'll come to. And you know, the only thing he sits down to watch for up to 45 minutes as a stretch, Akili. Akili is this
my goodness, my son loves Akili. Akili.
Honestly, it shows that he can relate to, because he's seeing people that look like him.
But they're saying nothing, and I'm just like, what?
Leave as in, yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's very important that you put things in perspective, you know. But I mean, that said, so what I want to do so that you can have like tangible takeaways. At this point, I want to talk about things that I'm happy I did before we found out my son was on the spectrum.
Go for it.
Number one thing I'm happy we did was put him in Montessori. Now, I'm not a Montessori advocate. My mom has a Montessori kindergarten. So I've been exposed to it growing up. So that's why I navigated to it. But the reason why I'm happy we put him in Montessori was because now that independence, I mean, he's not completely independent, but a big chunk of the independence that they are working on for a lot of kids that are even older than him on the spectrum are still working on. My son had garnered it by 3 years old, because in Montessori, you wear your shoe by yourself, you wear your trouser by yourself, you wear your top, you take your plate to the kitchen sink, everything is, they're raising young adults. And so because of that, my son was already feeding himself by 18, less than, what am I saying, by 30, before I even started suspecting, by his first birthday, he was feeding himself with a spoon, like he was already drinking out of a cup. He was already, you know, those things were already in place. So by the time the autism started to onset, he had already gained a lot of skills. He lost some, but he had gained enough ground by three, do you get it? By three there, but he was potty trained. Mind you, another reason why you should trust your gut and be the number one person driving the boat. When we went to LA, the woman was like, oh, you have other things to focus on, forget about potty training. Me, being the Nigerian mom I am, I say, I cannot be cleaning babies' poo-poo and be cleaning babagbas. We be potty train this potty train. And I found a way around at his level to get him to potty train. What did I do? He was obsessed with numbers at that point. Like when I say obsessed, Sholakwe, he was obsessed. This boy was counting to 1,000, like he was obsessed. And I got number stickers, and every time he peed, I would give him 1, 2, 3. And so after a while, when he pees, he'll come and say 5, and then he'll come and say 18. And gradually, he started forgetting, or he will pee 1 pee 3 times so that I can get 3 numbers. Do you get? That's how you know that these children are smart. Do you get? Yeah. So you pee small, come and miss me 25. You pee again 26. After a while, before we knew it, but I think we got to like 56, 57, and he was potty trained, at least during the day. Do you understand?
Yeah, I do. I mean, this is ABA that you did with him, and I'm amazed. It's just, yeah.
Yes. And by the way, while I was pregnant, because of the resource, when we came back from LA, the resources we found here, they're limited because they're in English. We were English speaking, so the English resources were so limited. Do you understand? So I had to step in, and so I got a lot of online certifications. I got a speech therapy online certification. I got ABA therapy online certification. Heavily pregnant, even though I needed to help my son. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I did, and that's what helped me with, you know, these day-to-day things that I could help him with. Somebody wrote here, and I would like to address it. Honestly, Montessori doesn't work for everyone. I think what's important to find what works and why there are other options. 100%, because eventually 100%. I'm getting there because Sholakwe, he left. We had to take him out of Montessori.
Took out of Montessori because Montessori.
Yeah, we took him out of Montessori.
Structure. He likes
exactly.
What comes first? So for him, being in the Montessori system was chaotic.
Chaotic.
Everybody was doing
Exactly.
Process because you did not know what to be doing at whatever time. So yes, so I would say pick what works best for you. And also you need to first, before you want to pick or whatever, know first, itemize, what do I need him to be doing at this point?
Beautiful. And what skills does he
Right.
need to even be able to achieve this thing?
Does he have the skills to achieve these things that I need him?
Exactly.
So it's until when you have all those things itemized. I mean, a child that struggles with organization and all of that, and then you put him in a place like a Montessori system, he's never going to thrive.
Never. So
No, get, executive functioning will be a difficult thing for him.
Exactly.
But child that that is I mean, he likes to do things. He will still achieve things at his own time and everything, but he will still, yes, Montessori might suit that child.
Exactly.
So it's very important.
So
want to teach, then check if that child has the skills required to access that teaching. So if the child doesn't have that required skills, then now put it on a priority list. How
exactly
priority level? What's the hierarchy of need for this that this child needs to learn? So based on the hierarchy of need, it will help you to properly, get a plan, and it's that plan that would help you to now, in fact, by the time you start checking all these things, you already know what the strengths are, what
exactly
putting yourself in the child's position. You are walking in the child's path. Yep. And you are not walking and looking down and saying, what does it need? But you are taking yourself now and put yourself like, if I were him, what I hear, how will I live? And it's those things that will now guide your decision as to what support you can make available to that child.
Yeah, exactly. So and to just to reiterate, this is what I'm addressing now. Things I'm happy I did before the diagnosis. So Montessori.
Tell me all your story. Don't read the message. We'll read this message after. So that
Montessori, exactly. Montessori was beautiful for him up until 3. Then he had to leave because the structure, he needed that structure. Mm-hmm. But it was an amazing foundation for him, because if he had actually gone to a regular EYFS, I think, regular nursery, they would have said he's top of his class, because academically Baba was ahead. He was way ahead, and they would have picked up the autism. So the Montessori, because of the Montessori system, they were able to see that this guy was finding it difficult charting a path for himself. And they were able to see the gaps quickly. If he was sit down, do this, my son, he's very compliant. He's a very koniwal by nature, koniwala. So we do it. Do you get? So we won't have picked it early. So that's why Montessori was important. I'm happy I did that before the diagnosis. Moving on, another thing I'm very happy I did before the diagnosis was his feeding. So I was very, very particular about his feeding. My pregnancy was very difficult at first, and so my gynae told me, okay, you need to do this, do that as much as possible. Try and eat organic food. She told me the foods that were important to be organic, the ones that eat the skin, banana, it doesn't matter. She just told me everything. So from the pregnancy, I had already started trying to eat healthy and everything, and I did everything right in the pregnancy. And so when he came, I was a stay-at-home mom, and being the extra perfectionist that I am, I didn't buy anything out of a packet for my son. I would juice, if I wanted pomegranate, I would juice the pomegranates. I would juice the kiwi. I will make and there was a book that really helped me, Micah's Meals. She was a mom influencer back then, and I bought her book. It really helped me. Do you get? So I used to make him all the yummy, this one. His feeding was amazing. I fed him healthy. And so now that we're trying to address it from the gut point of view, a lot of the feedback I'm getting is that, he doesn't even have as many toxins as a lot of kids on the spectrum do have, maybe because I've been very particular about what he does put in his mouth. So I'm happy I did that, and I'm still trying my best to do that. I'm also happy that I control TV time, even though this is a two-edged sword, because I also wish I gave him TV time. So he got no TV time. I was the only engagement. We read books and, you know. But I also feel like now that he started to watch some TV with his sister, I feel like TV controlled would have helped his imagination, would have helped him to be able to engage himself, and would have helped his comprehension better. This is just, like I said, my opinion, looking at my kid and how he's now doing with TV. So I'm happy I controlled TV and there was no TV time. I'm happy I read to him. One thing that really helps my son, and if you're watching this, take note. One book that really helped my son when he was young, and he helped him to start labeling things, was Goodnight Moon. So every night we would read Goodnight Moon, and we would, after we finish reading the book, we will go around the house. Good night TV, good night sofa, good night trampoline, good night fireplace, good night. You get, we would say good night to everything. Obviously, at first he wasn't, but after a while he started giving back. And recently I recommended that book to one mom. Do you understand? And she called me like 2 days after. This is actually a Portuguese, like her son speaks Portuguese. And she was like, he said his first word, microwave, like because of the, but I guess, I mean, different things motivate different kids. But for them, I think the structure of, okay, when I stand in front of this, I say this word. When I stand in front of this, I say this word. After a while, it started to bring out. So it helped my son also with labeling. So I just wanted to say that. So I'll put this as part of the resources I recommend. So, and then this is not really related, but, and I'm sure he said he's going to start swelling, but I'm happy that before the diagnosis, before I even had a kid, I chose the right partner. It has not been easy on us, but choosing him has made a world of difference on this journey, because I cannot even describe to you how much I have metamorphosed, like how many versions of me have come about, and how he has still stayed solidly in my corner. So,
thank
but
you.
that's,
Oh, thank you. All the way from here, oh, Uncle Bayo, we are thanking you.
yeah, like really,
Yes, so,
honestly.
Mr. Bob Blow for president. Yes, everything.
Yeah. So that's there. So I'm going to go to the things I wish I did. So I wish I spaced out his vaccines. This is a controversial topic, but I'll be remiss if I don't talk about it. I really feel like I've met so many parents, too many parents, that have raised their eyebrows at a certain vaccine. Generally, I mean, loading your children up with external factors isn't the best thing. With my son, I was a policewoman. If they say a vaccine is due 9 months to 12 months, shall I pay 9 months, 1 day, I've gone. And if you tell me it's better to take 2 or 3 shots in 1 day, almost, that's how how serious I was with the vaccines. But, and nothing really made a difference to him until the certain one he took. You know, I'm trying not to mention. If you want to know his name, I'll tell you. Message me or something, I'll tell you. But that was shortly after his first birthday. He took the second and heavier dose. Okay, yeah. So I gave it to him around 13 months, and it was shortly after that, I kid you not, that I started to see my son change in front of me. And I don't have anything to prove it. All the other parents around the world that feel this way don't have anything to prove it, but I can tell you for free that it is a factor. So if it doesn't, I won't say it causes it, because many other children have taken it and they're fine. But there are some children that are already genetically predisposed to have coma, and so that triggers it. So I would say I wish I spaced out his vaccines and maybe even delayed a lot of them. Someone said mention the name, Joe. It's okay, they will put it in this thing, MMR vaccine. I have a lot of friends, even on this call, that have told me that even their children that are neurotypical, they behave very weird after the vaccine. Do you understand? And so I'll just say, space out. On one given day, don't give your child more than 1 jab. And then if they say it's due in 2 months, and make it 3 months, your child, nothing's going to happen to your child. So my friend too said this as well. Exactly. Anyway, that's I don't want to dwell on it too much. Also, I wish I started omega-3 fish oil, like cod liver oil. This really helps with, especially for kids that have the predisposition or have some kind of delayed or brain, a differently wired brain. Fish oil helps them to, I don't want to go too deep into all of these things, but fish oil is very helpful. So if you're a new mom, or whether you have a child on the spectrum or not, you're a new mom,
Brain development.
it helps with brain development, 100%. So give your child, my daughter has been on fish oil since she was a newborn, like it just helps. I remember growing up, my parents used to take it. I used to wonder why you taking this fishy thing, but it's apparently very, very good. So I would recommend it, and things, this is something I wish I knew about before his diagnosis. Also, something that I would like to mention, I told my younger friends about it. Vitamin D. I was very low in vitamin D when I was pregnant. And my doctor begged me, but the way pregnancy is, I was like, oh, she told me I should be putting 40 drops of the oil on boiled egg. I'm just like, well, see, okay. Maybe I'll do it, and I should do it like 4 times a week. Do you understand? And maybe I'll do it once a week, frankly. And it's amazing that I'm not crying about this, because I would have, me a year ago, 2 years ago, I'd have said, oh my God, I contributed to it. But a study just came out and said, not all, but a good number of moms with kids on the spectrum had vitamin D deficiency in pregnancy. So if you're a single girl out there and you are watching this, enter the sun. No, not every time sunscreen. I say sunscreen. Sunscreen. Enter the sun. You need vitamin D. Is important. We don't know. They're still doing research. But I also know that in another 15 years, some of these things they would have done enough studies to be able to cast it in stone, and you would wish you knew. And so that's why I'm saying this right now. So going to after his diagnosis, things that I'm happy I did. Like I said earlier, I'm happy I read the book called More Than Hope, because that helped us to connect to him better. That helped him to communicate with us better in the house while we were waiting for professional help. Also, I'm happy I got the online ABA therapy license. No, not license. Training and speech therapy training online as well. I'm also happy I joined Twinkle.
Always.
Yep. I'm also happy I joined Twinkle because I got resources from there. I created some resources on my own, but Twinkle, yeah, I'm just seeing this. My son is also on vitamin D. Here is very important because we don't always have sun. So vitamin D, especially for kids of color, is very, very, very important. They're still on vitamin D, the kids, but even you, the mom, is important.
Twinkle ambassador.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah, exactly. What is it?
I said I'm a goofball, I know. So
no, but amazing. Yeah. And teachers pay teachers as well. So
yeah,
I'm happy that I got on those. What else? Okay, and then there's my my son has sensory processing disorder. And so sometimes he has sensory overload, but he's more of a seeker than an avoider. So if you see my son, he's bumping into things. When he was younger, my husband and I used to call him bionic, because this guy can bump his head and be laughing. I'm just like, Oga, I'm crying on your behalf. How did you just take that in? Do you understand? But anyway, now he's gotten better, and that shows that he's making progress. But he had a lot of sensory issues. So the toe walking, something that helped with toe walking and sleep, was something called Qigong massage. I don't know if you've heard about it, Shalate.
What's that?
Qigong massage. It's an Asian technique. So it's a massage.
Me, boring.
I'll send it. It helped.
No, I know that. I know because my son has sensory processing disorder as part of his diagnosis, and I remembered that part of what is OT itemized was there was the massage. So he has sensory diets that the OT worked on and produced for him, and part of those when he was much younger was he had to do a particular. So they listed the type of massage I needed to do for him.
Let me stop it there. Nobody created sensory diets for my son in this abroad, you. I mean, more creative for me. I created it by myself. Nobody. So that's what I'm saying. The support, hey, it's not always hey. It's not. I did it by myself.
And see, Emma Komisita, oh, so you go in Nigeria, not in Motica. So,
Okay. Ah, okay.
Thanks. Continue.
Anyway, so qigong massage, it's a balancing. It works with Zen. I mean, I won't lie. Initially, when I started, I was like, hey, no, I'm gonna be massaging myself into one kind of meditation. Mm-hmm. So I prayed about it, and I realized that okay, it's good. I spoke to my sisters about it and everything, and we did I started doing the massage. I practiced on my husband, and I started doing it on Demi, and it really tremendously helped him with his sleep. When he's dysregulated, like there's sometimes you know that this guy is just not feeling himself. Qigong massage helps to calm him down. Then he also helps dramatically with with his toe walking. He almost stopped toe walking, so I would recommend that if your child has issues with his like phalanges and his toe walking, doing that around his eye, it would really help.
So I would just sound out a note before we all start thinking all this massage and stuff like that. It's always best to speak to an their occupational therapist.
100%. So me, I'm a DIY mom because I don't really have any.
I'm not really now DIY, but also before you start any of all of these things, it's always very good for the professionals to do like a sensory panel, because
exactly.
She already told you that our son is a sensory seeker, and that is based on our
senior.
But your son might be a sensory avoider,
mm-hmm.
and you are using the therapy of a sensory seeker. Get the results.
I'm sorry I didn't say that, but yes,
more
100%
to become a bigger issue than what you are dealing with already. So always important to meet the professionals. They will do a proper,
To be fair, you're right. You're very right, because it was actually his OT, Fiona, that recommended I should look into it.
Yeah, exactly.
So she didn't say I should do it, but she just said look into it. Like this may help if he's this and that and that.
What they want you to do directly like that, they will just suggest it like a person, because they are
exactly.
When they now force you to do it, you will now say,
exactly.
So it's when you now say research, then you now come back to the OT and say, oh, I researched this, I researched that.
Exactly.
Which one would you advise me to? That's when you will now hear them, their mouths will just open like pap. They will just oh, this is how you would do it. This is, but before that, they will just, oh, have you heard? I'm like, I know.
Exactly.
Maybe you should research about it, or just,
Yeah, that's how they said it. That's how she said it. But I know their hand. I know the way they move. So once they say that kind of thing, me say if I don't enter.
What this person say in my notes that I took it, that's so it's based on that you
exactly
now, go back for your next appointment with your notebook. It's always important as you are doing. Very important. You're writing your observation, because you are the one that knows your child best.
Yep.
So yes, so I'm taking notes. I'm watching the child and taking notes, so that when I now research, I've done it, I've seen it, and I go back to doctor. Doctor, come now, let's gist.
This is what happened. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. My note said this. Your research said this.
It's teamwork. You have to build exactly, and this is one of the things I'm saying I'm working on. I was going to say that I'm happy I built a team to help him, but I wish I had more information. Let me say it like that, because for instance, after diagnosis, 2 important things I wish I did was start him on something called tomatis. This is listening therapy. We talked about this. And funny enough, this tomatis, I just learned about it from a friend of mine whose son just got a diagnosis. Her son is 2. And she told me about that. He's getting it in the center where he's at in Nigeria. And then I researched and I found out that they actually have it here, but it's not a mainstream therapy. It's something that you have to pay out of pocket here. But my son just did it. And apparently it's something you're supposed to do before you even start speech therapy, because what it does is it helps your auditory processing. So when they did his evaluation at the first meeting, they said he was struggling with auditory processing. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that he should have started this way before he started speech. That there's no way if he doesn't process what he's hearing properly, he will be able to speak well. And I was like, 3-4 years down the line.
What that is, so Tomatis is one of the type of it's called a therapeutic listening therapy program.
Yeah.
So there are several of them out there. I know that there's another one which my son is on, which is called the listening therapy. There's Tomatis. So all of those things, what they are doing is it's an auditory processing thing. So it's helping them process what they're
hearing.
So every input coming in gets there's it needs to be processed properly. So what that is helping them to do is just wire their brain to help with the processing, what is coming in and processing.
Yep.
All have different senses. You have this touch, so you can feel, you can hear, but how are you breaking down what you're hearing? How
Exactly.
That's what that is about. So for moms out there, there's
Exactly.
and there's a whole lot of.
If you message, I'm sure if you message Sholakwe after this, or you send me a deal, I'm gonna answer you. Do you get, in case, because I'm trying to cover time.
Yes,
I mean,
she has a lot, because she had told me, she said, "Well, Sholakwe, the way we talk, Seth, you're the one that will say, oh, you have to go." So, and I want her to be able to say everything that she wants to say. So that's why I'm saying, moms, we would answer every question, everything, just
exactly. So another thing I wish I did immediately after the process was but this was me being human. I wish I invited God immediately. And this is actually a big factor, because that was the turning point. I was very resentful because when I found out, I was angry, I was depressed, I was resentful. I was like, God, I'm not perfect, but I know that I tried to do straight and narrow with you when I was single and all of this. And even like till now, like, why is this happening to me? I still had this mentality of you do good, you get good. Oh, man, no be so. I'm here to tell you, if you're a mom listening to this and you feel like autism dropped at your doorstep because you did something wrong in your past lives, I can't really think of one thing I did wrong, really wrong. And here I am. I did everything right in my pregnancy. I fed my son right. I did everything right. Life just happens. And you have to take what you get and run with it. I never, like I said earlier, it was never my plan. I never believed, if anybody had showed me myself 10 years ago, that I'm almost 10 years into your marriage, you'd be a housewife. There's nobody on this call, like my friend, that would be like, oh, no, never. I have too much energy. I have too much, you get to be sitting in one place. But it is what it is. It took me a long time to get here. And I remember one thing that actually started shifting me this way was, my husband looked at me one day in the middle of an argument and he said, babes, I don't know if you're expecting your life to start happening. This is your life. Tomorrow is a day in your life. Next tomorrow is a day in your life. This is your reality. And what you make of it is what is going to be the story of your life. You don't have another life that is waiting for you in an alternate reality. This is it. And I think that day, obviously in the middle of the arguments, I could never have agreed that, Baba, you just made sense. I thought about it and I was like, I cried so much. And I must have called one of my many support team and just went off. But it was true. And I needed to accept it and then take it, own it, not allow it to own me, because it had been owning me. Oh, Sholakwe, autism has had its way with me. That's the only way I can put it. But it took a hard look in the mirror and the constant voices reminding me who I am, my support team carrying me through to get to the point where I say, no more. Yeah. And no more doesn't mean I'm not helping my son. I was still at it with prayer, with physical everything, but it didn't have to become all that I was.
Yeah.
It didn't have to define me. Oh, it defined me. And I remember this my last birthday. My husband asked me, he was like, "Babe, what do you want to do for your birthday?" I was like, nothing. I just want to do a photo shoot. I want that photo shoot to remind me who I am, how much of a babe I am, who I am. Ooh. And I went to Jand and I just did a photo shoot. Like, I just got makeup. I did, like, I didn't even want a party. No, I just wanted, it was symbolic for me, because it made me realize that I am more than I have allowed autism to say I am. And one of the biggest reasons that happened was because I didn't invite God early. I was so angry. And because I was so angry, I was doing it on my own. But you can't do it on your own. Sholakwe, you know this. There's almost nothing you can do about it. You try your best, you give all of the input. And I don't want to talk about what people have said to me on this journey, therapists, professionals, when they're basically telling you your son will not amount to anything.
I had a teacher that said to me, sat across from me and said to me, you know, yeah, we were struggling with potty training. She said, you know, not all children with autism that eventually get potty training. And I said, that will not be my story.
As in,
you opened your mouth. Bow.
See, at least Niger people, they even see how they don't understand. Here, maybe because English is not their first language. The way they drop it. Like one told me to my face, and it was as I was leaving, it was like this annual evaluation, because we do this annual like evaluation. And after, she was like, well, I really don't know what to say, you know, of all the children I'm working with, Demi is getting the most input, but it's giving the least output. I really don't know what to do, you know. And that was the look on her face. And as she was shutting the door as I was leaving, like, well, I don't know, he's regressed this last year, something like that. And you know, she's like, hey, me, my mouth is sharp. This journey has tamed me, because I always have to remember that, and it's not about you. It's not about you. If you insult this lady now, you don't have many options. You will not come back, tail between your legs, be begging her, please, can you do therapy with you?
Burn bridges.
So before I always had my kerosene and matches. I used to
that was me before.
So
I will burn it. I'm watching.
I will burn my Dano soon. I will burn it to ashes.
Like, I'll just be like, thank you so much for insulting me. I'll just be like, oh wow. In my mind, I'm like,
as in,
you are you going to let this slide? But I will say, but it's not about you.
It's not about you.
Child. You
understand?
This child that we need to find solution for.
Exactly. Yes. Sometimes there was one that even told me, you know, that I'm clearly something like I'm clearly struggling with accepting myself as a mother. You know, that Demi is like my pimp. And I'm like, I don't understand what you mean. That, you know, he controls me. See, I cannot just say some things here. They've dragged me. As in, I have heard. But guess what? Like you said, I keep telling myself, it's not about me. It's not about me. He needs the help, whatever the help. There's some bridges that I'm just like, I will burn you down, but I can't do it. Anyway, let's get back to what I was saying. So I really wish I had invited God early, because what that would have done for me is what it has done for me since I invited him. And it gave me confidence in decision making, clarity of what and what not to do. I have so many examples that exhausted. Like I can there's so many examples I can exhaust, but bringing God into it was painful. I had to humble myself, because I was upset, like, with everything I've done to be a good gay, with everything I've done to this point, this is what you believe is my own portion, you know. But I had to disabuse my mind of that entitlement. Exactly. Of that entitlement. What makes you so exactly? What makes you better than the other? Even though, why not you? Do you understand what I'm saying? So, I'm happy I have now, but I wish I had earlier, because I feel like our journey may have been different. And so, if you're a mama watching this and you just found out, or you're suspecting, or you're angry, except you know of another way, I recommend Jesus. But if you have another way of connecting to God, God is important on this journey. Very, very. Because he's actually the one that will build the picture. You are giving him these resources, the raw material, the prayer, the therapy, the this, the that. But is God, you don't know, in another 3-4 years, you may find out that Demi has some kind of skill that is amazing. We don't know, but it's only God that knows right now. And if he's not involved, you will not be led to that path. So I feel very strongly it is very, very important. Another thing I wish I did was, I talked earlier about him having a numbers obsession. When we found out and we went to we got the confirmation that he was on spectrum in Los Angeles. She mentioned something about, you know, trying to really downplay his numbers obsession because it was not allowing him to take in other stuff, which I understand because he was too obsessed. The numbers were keeping him in one world and he wasn't seeing the world he was living in. Agreed. But I really do wish that I had actually taken that numbers, and while I tried to encourage him to do other things, I could have actually like made him become like a numbers guru, because now he doesn't really care about numbers anymore. This someone that was counting and adding and seeing, but because
can I say something? So some of these things, it serves a purpose. You needed that to serve a particular purpose, and you used his skill at that moment to teach him another skill that he needed for another.
This is a lovely perspective.
Yes. So I always tell people you can either look at the cup half full or half empty. It's about perspective.
Yeah.
So in retrospect, you might be thinking, oh, maybe I should have.
Yeah, I'm just saying this one so that another mama will not completely kill the skill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on.
Every child comes with so many gifts. Some gifts are 100%, some 20%.
Yep.
But now saying I want to focus on only the 100%.
Yeah.
Do you know whether if you decide to water and flower and put all those things to the 20%, maybe that 20% is what is going to stand him out in the world?
I agree.
You wouldn't know.
I agree.
So I always believe that it has passed. Can we still bring that back? Is that skill still something that
exactly.
Cannot? Then we look at other skills. Maybe you talks. Maybe at some point when they start talking about algebra or something, maybe the skills will come back to life again.
100% possible. Very possible.
You don't focus on that. And so for me, I
love it. I love it for Solape.
Situation. What is the task ahead of me?
Mm-hmm.
How can I make sure that the task ahead of me is achieved?
Yep. That's agreed. 100%. I agree with you. I wish I could high five you right now. Yeah. So let me go back to, then another thing I really wish I did immediately after we found out was run medical tests. That's one thing that here is not very mainstream. You have to go out of your way and really tiraka to get it done. But I really wish I did, because if I had and
that testing thing is everywhere. So it's not just
really
running medical tests and stuff like that. I think the only reason why we did an early allergy panel was because starting from 6 months, we started to see some things that he was allergic to from when he started solid. Why it was us to start to test a lot of all the it's everywhere, and testing is expensive.
Oh my dear.
Testing is not covered by a lot of insurance.
This is why this is why we need to keep advocating, because it needs to be covered.
We
need to keep advocating.
And then when you now hear no, or you now feel like, oh my goodness, I just spent what? So you're like, and then think about it. Someone that is still struggling to put food on the table, you tell the person to go test some. It will be like, I beg, let me first put food on the table first. Because things are hard. And then when you have a special needs child, it becomes
100 times harder,
because you're thinking of a specialized this, a differentiated this, and oh my goodness, and then the toll on you.
We're getting to that.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No problem. No problem. Sorry, I don't understand. Anyway, and I wish I worked on, like we just said, I wish I worked on. At least now I can. I have the luxury of time. And again, if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, I don't have time to do this, it's because my own situation is that I don't have to work to put food on the table. If you have to work, and guess what? I wish I did, because I miss that. But that's a different conversation. But if you are putting food on the table, look at your situation and do the best for your child within your situation. Wow, don't look at another person's clock to work, because this journey is as singular as it gets. You're on your own. Literally, the journey is your journey with your child, your child's journey on this autism spectrum journey is very, very, very peculiar to every case. So don't look that I can make kiwi juice. Or I didn't make the kiwi juice again. Mom, juice on the carton now because there's no time again. I don't have any energy again. Do you get? I mean, organic, but still. So just wanted to put that out there. Yeah. So those are the key things I wish I did as soon as I got the diagnosis. Now I'm going to go to relationships and how, you know, the support system is everything. I don't know how I literally got blessed with the support system, and I have, Sholakwe. I know that not everybody has it, and so I don't take it for granted. And when I say support system, I don't mean only my family, my friends, like my in-laws. Like, I won't lie to you, in that area, I have it very good. If not for them, and they've all played like different roles at different times. Your speaker last week said the same thing about how your support system is very important. And it resonated so much with me because she said something that said, your real ones will ride with you.
Yeah, you ride and die.
Oi, Sholakwe, I have lost friends and I have gained friends. And the friends that have been with me from time are now more cemented in my life because of the role they have played and continue to play. My sisters, like my parents, like I remember when my mom came, because I'd been saying it, and obviously because Bai was saying, Mom, don't mind, I knew she's being dramatic, you know, the early stages. And she came in April 2019 and she experienced what we were going through with Davy. She came, in fact, came with like 2 boxes of materials. Do you get? But when she came and experienced him and saw what we were going through in a foreign land, I remember my mommy doesn't easily apologize. But Sholakwe, my mom held me and hugged me. And that moment will stay in my memory forever because she said, Anuluwa, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I'm sorry I haven't been more there for you because I thought maybe you were being extra. I'm sorry you've had to go through this to this point on your own. And from that moment till this very moment, like sometimes she's even too there. I'm just like, Mommy, I beg, dress back small. Do you understand? Like my friends are a different case because those ones, fortunately or unfortunately, I have high flyer friends. Most of my friends are high flyers. And I like to fantasize that I would have been as well. But my story just wasn't written that way. But these, my friends, are constantly, they're supporting me while reminding me who I am. While, you know, I have one of my best friends would wake up at 5 a.m. to pray with me. Maybe I'm doing like a prayer, like I'm doing 7 days prayer, just, you know, really trying to connect and trying to, maybe it's a milestone we're trying to reach. She would get up and pray with me. And after we finish the prayer, she'd tell me, hey, so babe, what are you doing for it? Like, she's reminding me, okay, hey, what next? Like, how are you picking yourself up? You need these people. I remember my last birthday, one of my other friends was telling me, Anu, type to me what I want to see the boss babe I knew before you got married. And I remember it was like 2 a.m. and she was writing these things to me and I was in tears. She didn't even know. But she was reminding me of the person she wanted to see again. Do you understand? And so these people, or the times I would just call my sisters a 3-4 way and I'm just crying. I have nothing to say. I'm just crying and they're all just there watching me cry. You need your support system. Take any help you can get. I know a lot of people that are still hiding it and don't want to come out with it. And I understand. Even to their family, they're still very guarded. Omo, you need them all. You really do. Because there are times where you get so low that it's their voices that God will use to lift you up. Sholakwe, I got suicidal. I shared this with you. And that was so, I didn't mean to share that, but I did. Anyway, but these people, my husband, my support system, they were the ones. It messed with my as in vitamin deficiency, all sorts of things. The stress can, it's not only mental, it becomes physical.
Yeah.
So, you know, you need your support system. I can't overemphasize this because I've lived it. You need a support system, you know. You need your friends, you need the ones that, I mean, I went to Nigeria recently and some of my friends, their only job was to make sure that I had a good time. Like, one of my friends, she carried it on her head, like she was literally, I know, I'm coming to pick you. Like, and that's because they know that, okay, it's been rough and this is, as in, let Anu enjoy. Do you understand? Like, you need it in little ways, big ways, you need it. Yeah. That said, I also talk about how, you know, you not all of your friends can be with you on this journey. And it's not because they're bad people.
I know.
But because they genuinely cannot really relate, or that burden is a bit too much for them to carry with you. And that's okay. It's okay to move on. It's okay to love them from afar. But you see those ones that are in your corner, they are there. They are there. And those are the ones that, you know, would continue to. And also you, the few moments that you can, because I know it can be so overwhelming that you'll be in a bubble. Also go out of your way to be there for them. Because they're giving and they're giving, but they also need to take. And I actually just learned this recently, you know, like I actually realized it recently. And okay, it's not as if I wasn't being there, but I realized how important my being there was to this person. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's also important. Because it changes you. It does. Your marriage. Ha! You see, that very thing that you fell in love with your partner for, autism will skew it that it will begin to annoy you. And you have to be aware of it to make sure that you're always on the same side. My husband is very chill. He doesn't like wala. I'm the warrior. And so when the autism thing started, when the journey started, I remember thinking that, Oga, stand up. Let's go and fight this fight together. And he's just like, and I was so angry. Like, how can you just be chilling? Like, why are you even laughing? That was funny. Like, but guess what? It took me a while to get to the point where I accepted that that's exactly what I needed. There was a time where Damien would be having a meltdown. Like, my son would be having a meltdown. And he didn't want me there. Why? Because once he's having a meltdown, me say, I'm melting down. Hey, God, what's the problem? Ooh, hey. Shut up, are you crying? Don't cry, please. It's okay. It's okay.
We're supposed to be crying, oh. We said we are cry, oh. Please. So, you know,
we're not supposed to.
Move it on, because all these things.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So he wouldn't want me there. And he would literally say, in those moments, he would use his words, Daddy. I want, like, literally, because that was his calm. So that calmness and chill my husband had that was agitating me was exactly what my son needed. And I needed to remove myself from the center of it and accept that this is what my son needs. And so that's why I said I would get to the fact that I chose the right partner. Honestly, it's been the best balance.
One thing I tell everybody is that I married my best friend, because there are times when I know that, you know, if you've met my husband, you just be like, perfect gentleman. In fact, sometimes I'll be like,
exactly,
a gentleman here, let's go. You know, and then I'm like, see, your sisters, we're charged up.
Exactly.
No violence, no death.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I'm glad that I have that kind of partner, because it has helped me to
100%. Me too.
To grow.
Oh yes, a lot of my growth is because of him. Honestly.
The 360. He has helped. He helped me to start to think about the glass being half empty and start to look at the glass being half full. Like,
it's like we're married to twin brothers.
I think so. You know, I've been telling you since. We have almost the same similarities, almost the same birthday.
Exactly. He's literally like, sometimes it's annoying because sometimes I'm just like Oga, and sometimes I pushed him out of his comfort zone too, but
yeah, because I'm
by
like,
and large,
yeah,
that's what I've needed. That's what Demi has needed. So I'm really grateful for that.
Mm.
At this point, I want to talk about the other sibling. I touched on it earlier.
Yeah.
I have a 3-year-old who is like a 50-year-old woman. And if you look at it, it's because she's maturing really quickly. And you can't remove the fact that her brother being who he is what is causing her to be like that. So far, so great. What the doctor in Los Angeles told us, we're really conscious about it. Like, we make sure that decisions we're making about her, we're making sure that it's not solely because of Demi. For instance, now my son is in a German-speaking special needs kindergarten, and he's picking up the language, he's understanding it. So now he's about to be bilingual. Hopefully, he would actually speak bilingual. That's the prayer, and we're hoping for that. So now at 3, she started German after-school lessons once a week. It's a bit much for a 3-year-old, but it's also a plus on her side because she's learning another language. She lives here anyway. But before we got to that decision, we had to really talk about it and say, is this too much for her? Do you understand? Are we doing this only because of we? So that's a different facet to this journey, because we're raising a whole nother human being who has to be whole, who has to feel loved, who has to know that mommy and daddy love her just as much as they loved me. So now sometimes both of them need my attention. I'm consciously going to my daughter first so that she doesn't start to resent her brother, because now their bond is becoming unbelievable. Like, Darcy is being naughty and I tell her time out, her brother starts crying like he doesn't want her in timeout. And she's defending her brother in playgrounds. So I love to see it. And it's such a delicate thing, but it's something that you have to be so intentional about. I cannot overemphasize this. It's something that, I met another amazing autism mom earlier in the year, and we're talking. And, she was just like, oh my gosh, she's one of the people that really said I should come and start talking online, but I'm like, this is not my thing. Anyway, we spoke and she was like, oh my God, Anu, I wish you had told me this 3 weeks ago, that apparently, because her daughter is first and then her son, who's second, is the one on the spectrum. And apparently the girl has started having issues in school. She's 10 and she had gone to the school guidance counseling and told them that her mom only cares about her brother or work. And when the guidance counselor called her, she was very upset and yelled at her that, don't you know how to put food on the table, and shut it down.
Ooh.
She got so, and I understand. I don't even judge her for that, because she's the one putting food. Her partner is not very, very present, so she's the one putting food on the table. She's under a lot of pressure, and then you're coming to tell me that I'm not taking you food. Yes, they who gave you, but children don't process it like that. And so immediately we had that conversation. She had to get off the call.
Important also for we adults to take that moment to take care of ourselves.
Yep, that's another thing.
Do that.
I'm going to talk about this after
this. A proper accountability of our state of mind.
Yep.
And we would not be able to give ourselves that. You have to be in a good mental state to be able to attend to another person's needs.
100%. See, it took me a long time to realize this, and they feed off our energy. They feed off our energy.
Yes, and
these children feed off our energy.
There, you can give it.
Exactly.
And you see, the issue is that you start to raise children that start not, because you say the words, but they see your body language. Whether they are neurotypical or not, they see your body language.
100%.
I'm bothering mommy. They see I'm the reason.
Exactly.
So you're saying, oh, you are just upset because this meeting has taken so long, and you're upset and you're raving, and he talks to you and goes, I can't do this right now. But he's hearing, I can't do this right now, constantly. And so he says, oh, It's because I'm taking mommy's time too much. That's why
Exactly.
not time. And you see,
Exactly.
what I've done is the child has internalized that
100%.
That's the damage. But you don't realize the
The damage is happening.
You
You're
don't
right.
happening until it starts to manifest in that child outwardly, in his aggression, in his way of thinking, or even in
This thing you just said. This thing you just said. My son was struggling with aggression almost the whole of last year. And I remember one of the things one day I woke up with my 5 a.m. prayers and I was like, God, what do you even want from me? Like, at that point, he was so aggressive. He was doing, as in, I was almost afraid of him. We couldn't take him anywhere. He got kicked out of 2 kindergartens. In fact, the stories are plenty. But the Spirit of God told me, before I even started the prayer, in my tears, the Spirit of God was clear. Kill him with kindness. I've never put that sentence together before in my head on my own. Kill him with kindness. Kindness, physically kindness. Just kill him with kindness. I'm like, I don't understand. You don't scratch me. Kill him with kindness. Sholape, it didn't take 1 day. It didn't take 2 months. But my son dropped the aggression with kindness. The instruction was stop all aggression, kill him with kindness. I didn't even know how to even tell my husband this because my husband, you've come again. Honestly, my son doesn't, we don't spank him. But
what that means in literal translation is you are modeling the right behavior.
Exactly. Because again, my daughter had started picking up, talking to him in a raised voice.
So what you are doing, if you don't want,
we had to model really model it.
Model the way you want to be talked to. Model so those things
exactly.
Just as they're soaking that your pent up anger and aggression.
Exactly.
Soak up the opposite, and as they're
exactly, and it's a gradual thing. They would
what you want to see.
Exactly. See, honestly, it took a place of prayer for me to really get to this understanding. And that's why I said inviting God was the most important thing I've done on this journey. Honestly, because things that I couldn't have. I was sharing with you the greeting story, which there's no time to share because I have to run now. Time is almost up.
In fact, I'm just going to give you now that babe.
I've not covered everything, though. I've not covered everything, though.
You know what we are going to do? Maybe what we should do is create another time for you to come back. I think that's what we should do.
Maybe.
Wait, let's do it back. And then you'll just be given the opportunity to like do more questions, do more tips on these are the things I did, like flesh it out as opposed to me just because all the things you said, see my notebook, I've written it down, I'll put it up there for you. But it will be good because it will be good to be able to put more flesh to someone is saying yes, bring Anu back. yes, I agree. We are bringing her back. She has a wealth of, and what I enjoy is that she's speaking from her story. These are the things she had to do to build herself up to become. I mean, she just said she wasn't that person, but she had to be intentional about being the person she wants to become. And this is not a 1 day's journey. I'm sure there are times when, in fact, you forget that you're using a calm, cool voice and you just
exactly.
Holy Spirit, take charge.
God. I'm telling you, obviously, you're human. You're human. And you're overwhelmed with emotions. Exactly.
When I finish shouting, we'll have family meeting. I sit in and say, excuse me, sir. These are the things that I did that were wrong.
Exactly.
I'm not proud of it.
I'm not proud of it.
No. However, these are the things that you did that aggravated the situation.
Exactly. That pushed me to
let us both know where we went wrong. Now that we now know it, Oga, I am sorry. How can we move forward? And because I am trying. It's not you cannot be there every day. Like sometimes I just feel navigating traffic is like exhausted. As one is asking me,
exhausted.
And I'm like, excuse me, you seen short service chef? What do you mean by not on the menu? This is what we have in the house. So Jare, go and sit down.
Exactly. Baba, drink your gari.
Then after I've said it, I'll say, Sholape, you said we should always discuss and negotiate. You're teaching negotiation skills.
Exactly.
Whatever conversation. You have bullied him, you have become a bully. So let's
now steady. Now Mr. Bablo drops it. Steady.
So yes, we are going to bring Anu back, that's for sure. So I think Anu, what do you want to, because we want to wrap up now. So
conclusion. So I would just talk on the first 4 conclusions. I put like 8 conclusions, but I would talk about number 1, very, very, very important. Your journey is that your journey. Don't watch this live and say, oh, because Anu did this, even if it doesn't work for your situation. I like Google. And because I've done it so much, I know how to sieve out the good from the bad. So I research a lot. I'm constantly, I hear something like this, I'm going to research it, this, that. I think sometimes it's an overkill, but I do. Focus on your journey. Whatever is working for your family is what you should do. Don't put you don't know. I mean, we've spoken for the past almost 1.5 hours. You still don't know me. So focus on your journey. You don't know my child. Focus on your journey. Do what is right for your journey. Don't set unrealistic expectations for yourself, for your child, for your marriage. Don't, or for your life. Just don't. Do what is best for you. Do what is best for your child. Let that be your focus. Number 2, trust your gut. Trust that gut, that inner voice. And in my case, that is guided by God. Trust it. Because there are more examples than not that have shown me that voice is louder than anything any external voice is saying. There are so many times they will tell you your child cannot. You forget the diagnosis. Take it milestone by milestone. This is what my child should be doing. Like what Sholape said earlier. As you are making that list, then you will know what he needs to. And it's not like, oh, Anu's son, or this my friend's son finishes in 2 months. My own must finish in 2 months. If you take that approach, you will sleep there with autism. Oh, you will sleep there because there's no hard and fast rule. You can't control how your child internalizes what you're giving your child. Then also take as much help as you can and take care of yourself. The times where my son would be having a rough day or rough week and it's affecting me for the next couple of days, I'm snapping at my husband, I'm snapping at my daughter, I'm snapping. It's because I wasn't taking care of myself. I left myself in a dark hole. I had my support system, but a big part of me was saying they can't understand how I'm really, really feeling. Even though, I think I only had one friend. She's in the US, one of my best friends. She's ahead of me on the journey. That was one person that used to really, really help me, because that was one that I knew that when she was saying what she was saying, she knew what she was saying. Funny thing, life almost separated that friendship, but I'm happy we're back. That's a different story, I'll maybe next time, But take time for yourself. Take help. Take care of yourself. If it's after the kids are in bed and you're binge watching a series, do that. A hot shower, anything that gives you a breather, like that you can actually puff and distract. Just do that. You need that. Big ones, small ones, you need it. It's very important because it's a journey. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. So you need to constantly recharge, mama. You really do. Another thing I was going to say, the last thing I'll say now is don't be shy to take your child out. This is probably something we'll talk about next time. Definitely. And don't be shy to advocate for your child. Work with professionals that know what they're saying, but don't be ashamed. There's nothing to be ashamed of. This can happen to anyone. It's not something you did wrong. It's not something you did right. It just happens. And make the best of your situation. Love on your child, the child that is in front of you, not the child you are hoping the child to be, not the child that you were hoping to have, the one right in front of you. I guess that would be me wrapping up for today.
Said it all, and I've like written everything, and I'm excited. Guys, know we're going to. It might not be next week because I think we already have someone coming on next week, but maybe upper week. I know. Let's work on that. Yes. Okay. So she would come back, and then she would tell you absolutely everything else that she's, because I know she has so much to say, and I don't want Instagram to kick us off, and then we lose all the beautiful videos that we are planned to save and put on. So I would say bye-bye till next week again. Look forward to seeing everybody again next week. I keep bringing one person every time, different people every time, just to, you know, share their experience. I feel like it's when we have more voices out there.
Yep, it's very important.
Story.
Even if it's one person, your voice helps.
Start to bring us out, because I mean, I'm young, and this is my journey. So I just want people to know that autism can happen to anybody. It's no respecter of age or status or anything.
Status or location.
But how are you coping with it? What are you doing? How are you dealing with it? What is your story? And so that's why I tagged it as my ASD story, my autism story. So that anyone coming, they're saying their story, talking from their experience. We are not saying we are professionals, even if you know you already have a professional qualification, blah blah blah. We are not coming here wearing the caps of professionals. We're coming here talking as parents. These are the things that have worked for me. This is how I have found solace. This is how I found support. These are the things that I wish I knew I did. These are things that I would want to tell anybody coming from the journey, that this thing, take note of it. These are the things that, and like I said, it's not just for parents with children with autism, or even you might
exactly friend, concept applied.
Something, or even just common knowledge. You never can tell when you will need it. It's common knowledge, just, you know, something. And now autism is so it's all over the media. You know, people glamorize it sometimes, but it's all,
my dear, that's different.
And
we will address it.
And next time. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, bye. Yes. Bye. Bye.